Ozzy Osbourne isn't just a rock star, he's a living legend of chaos. For decades, he's carried the nickname the Prince of Darkness, not only because of his music, but because of the unbelievable jaw-dropping things he's done both on stage and off. Some of the stories sound like myths passed down by fans. Some are rumors, but many of them are terrifyingly true, confessions that Ozzy himself has made in interviews, documentaries, and memoirs. From trying to strangle his own wife, to biting the head off a bat in front of thousands, to urinating on sacred monuments, Ozzy's life reads like a script Hollywood would never dare to write. And today, we're diving into the 10 craziest things Ozzy Osbourne ever did, or was rumored to have done, that made him the most infamous frontman in music history. We start with the darkest and most shocking event of Ozzy's life, one that didn't happen on stage, but behind closed doors. In 1989, Ozzy had sunk deep into addiction. He was consuming drugs and alcohol in terrifying amounts, and one night in a blackout, he turned on Sharon, his wife and manager. Sharon recalls him sitting across from her with a chilling calmness. He told her, "We've decided you have to go." The "we" was chilling. Sharon said it was like he was possessed, as if another entity was speaking through him. Then Ozzy lunged and tried to strangle her. Terrified, Sharon fought back and managed to press a panic button to alert security. When authorities arrived, Ozzy had no memory of what happened. He was arrested and later charged, but Sharon refused to press charges. She said she knew it wasn't really her husband, it was the drugs. The fact that Sharon forgave him is almost as shocking as the incident itself. To her, Ozzy wasn't a violent man. He was an addict. But for fans, it was a glimpse into just how far gone the Prince of Darkness could become. If there's one story that defines Ozzy's legend, it's the infamous night in 1982 when he bit the head off a live bat during a concert in Des Moines, Iowa. Fans had a habit of throwing things on stage at Ozzy: clothes, props, and sometimes even animals. That night, someone tossed what Ozzy thought was a rubber toy bat. Always eager to shock, he picked it up and shoved it in his mouth. The crowd went wild until Ozzy felt it twitch. He instantly realized it wasn't fake. He had just bitten the head off a real, living bat. The crowd gasped, some screamed, others cheered in disbelief. Ozzy himself panicked and rushed off stage, later having to undergo a full series of rabies shots. For years, people debated whether it was staged, but Ozzy has confirmed it multiple times. It really happened, and while he insists it wasn't intentional, the image of Ozzy biting the head off a bat cemented his status as rock's ultimate shock artist. Not long after the bat, Ozzy landed himself in another infamous scandal. In 1982, while in San Antonio, Texas, he was arrested for urinating on the Alamo cenotaph, a monument honoring Texas war heroes. The story gets stranger. Sharon, frustrated with Ozzy's drinking, had hidden his clothes so he wouldn't go out that day. Ozzy, determined to get drunk anyway, put on one of Sharon's dresses and wandered out into the city. Intoxicated, he staggered up to the Alamo monument and relieved himself in full view of the public. Police immediately arrested him, and San Antonio responded by banning him from performing there for a full decade. It wasn't until 1992 that Ozzy returned, performing a show and donating $10,000 to the Daughters of the Republic of Texas as an apology. Even so, the Alamo incident remains one of the most notorious moments in rock history, and a perfect example of Ozzy's inability to control himself. Another legendary story comes from a meeting with CBS Europe executives in the early 80s. Ozzy, once again drunk out of his mind, decided to make an impression. He stripped naked, climbed up onto the boardroom table, and began goose-stepping across it, a mocking imitation of Nazi marches that horrified the executives. To top it off, he kissed the German executive on the lips and urinated into the wine that was being served. Sharon has retold this story in multiple interviews, and Ozzy himself admits he only remembers flashes of it. While it sounds too outrageous to be true, it perfectly fits the pattern of Ozzy's life. Alcohol, impulse, and total disregard for consequences. But perhaps the moment that started it all came in 1981. During a meeting with CBS Records in Los Angeles, Ozzy arrived with two white doves tucked into his coat. The doves were meant as a peace offering, a symbol of his fresh start as a solo artist after leaving Black Sabbath. But peace wasn't exactly Ozzy's brand. In front of horrified record executives, he pulled out a dove and bit its head off, letting the blood drip down onto the table. He then released the second dove into the air, where it flew around the room in panic. Executives were horrified. Ozzy was banned from ever entering CBS's offices again. But the stunt worked. It made headlines and solidified his reputation as unpredictable, dangerous, and unforgettable. Not all of Ozzy's chaos was violent. Some of it was just bizarre. He once baked a hash-laced cake and left it in a tin with warnings. Unfortunately, a visiting vicar saw the cake, assumed it was normal, and ate it. When Ozzy realized what had happened, he panicked, convinced he had killed the poor man. He carried the vicar to his car, trying to rush him to safety. Luckily, the vicar survived. But the story became one of those surreal episodes that showed how Ozzy's drug-fueled lifestyle collided with ordinary life in absurd ways. Ozzy's substance abuse wasn't just about drugs. It was also about alcohol on a massive scale. He once confessed that over a single Christmas season, he drank 28 gallons of booze. That's over 100 liters of alcohol in less than a month. To put it into perspective, that's like drinking more than a bottle of wine every single hour for weeks. For most people, that kind of binge would be fatal. For Ozzy, it was just another holiday. In addition to drugs and alcohol, Ozzy confessed that he struggled with sex addiction. He revealed that he had undergone therapy for it, admitting that he couldn't control his impulses. For Sharon, this meant years of betrayal and heartbreak. Ozzy admitted to multiple affairs, including one with hairstylist Michelle Pugh that nearly ended their marriage. To fans, it was another layer of excess in a life already defined by it. For Ozzy, it was just another addiction on top of many. In 2003, Ozzy nearly lost his life in a quad bike crash on his estate in England. He was riding the ATV when it flipped, landing on top of him. He broke his collarbone, several ribs, and a vertebra in his neck. He was rushed to surgery and placed on a ventilator. Doctors weren't sure he would survive, yet against all odds, he pulled through. But the crash left him with lasting injuries and a reminder that even if drugs and alcohol didn't kill him, life could find another way to try. In his later years, Ozzy faced battles that weren't shocking in the same way, but they were heartbreaking. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which left him with tremors and difficulty walking. For a man who had built his legend on energy and chaos, it was devastating. Yet Ozzy refused to stop. He kept recording, kept appearing in public, and kept fighting, even as his body betrayed him. Ozzy Osbourne's life is a catalog of insanity. He tried to strangle his wife, bit the heads off animals, desecrated monuments, and consumed drugs and alcohol in amounts that defy human survival. The question is, was Ozzy doing all of this to shock the world, or was he simply unable to stop himself? Some of his stories are so outrageous they sound like legends, but in Ozzy's case, the truth really is stranger than fiction, and that's why he'll always be remembered, not just as the Prince of Darkness, but as the wildest rock star who ever lived. So what do you think? Which story shocked you the most? And do you think there are still secrets about Ozzy's life we haven't heard yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more deep dives into the legends of music and Hollywood.